So today I am actually going to do a little tutorial. Ever since I started showing this mitered square blanket, I've gotten a few comments and requests to see how you actually start it. The first request was actually about 11 months ago, but since then I've gotten at least 2 more requests within the last 2 weeks. So I thought I would go ahead and show you guys how to get one of these blankets started. It all starts with 1 square, and I use fingering weight yarn. So first things first, I want to just make sure I tell you the right needle size that I'm using. I believe it's a 4, a US 4, yes. So as you can see here, this is the number 4, 3.5 millimeters, and that's the one. So full disclosure here, this pattern is one that I had gotten way back in like 2006. And since this blog was posted, it has disappeared from the internet. I have not been able to find it since. So this was a blog post by Shelly Kang or Shelly Kang, and as far as I know, this blog is no longer there. I've tried to find it, and this post was back on Thursday, July 13th of 2006. So if anybody knows how to find the pattern, leave it down below in the description. But I even tried to look up, whoops, oh, I don't want to share my password. But I even tried to look up the pattern on Ravelry recently, the Heathen Housewife patterns by Shelly Kang, or Kang, like I said, this is her. And even when you try to find the pattern on Ravelry, it says this website is no longer accessible. So here's the Blankie. No longer available from one source. Yeah, it just says that the website is no longer available. And even a Google search brings up other people looking for her pattern. This one, Muddled Brain, it just says Heathen Housewife Blankie pattern. Somebody asked back in 2018, and they said, I started knitting the Heathen Housewife's Blankie ages ago, but I have forgotten how to do it, and her site doesn't help anymore. So guys, here I am to help you guys knit the Heathen Housewives Mitered Square Blankie pattern. And like I said, if anybody knows where to find the pattern online, you can leave it down below in the description. I have a printout of her blog from back in 2006, so I'm just gonna sort of go over it with you guys and show you how to cast on and get it started. She did a whole in-depth tutorial on how to start this mitered square blanket. This was about the time I started knitting. Now you can use any weight of yarn. I mean, it's going to take a lot longer if you use sock yarn, but you could use worsted, you could use DK, whatever you want. The squares can be any size. It's all going to be the same way that you do it and put it together. Now, if you use like a worsted weight yarn, you just use like a US 8 needle, which is, you know, the recommended size for that yarn. If you use DK or sport, just use whatever needle it recommends, and you just knit it to the size that you want. So let me go grab some yarn and I'll be right back. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to actually use a worsted weight yarn, and I'm going to go with a size 9 knitting needle. Now on my other blanket, I cast on 41 stitches, but for this one, I'm only going to cast on 31. You can actually use any odd number of stitches. In Kelly's pattern, she started with a provisional cast on, but I usually just do the long tail cast on, so that's what I'm gonna do for this video. And I'm gonna start casting on with 31 stitches. If you guys want more in-depth tutorials on how to cast on, you can find that in one of my previous videos. But for now, we're just gonna cast on 31. Okay, so we've got 31 stitches cast on. Next, we're gonna turn the work and we're gonna knit one plain row. So we're just gonna knit all the way across all 31 stitches. All right, so for the next row and for all of the following rows, we're going to actually slip the first stitch as if to purl. Oh, and with the yarn in front. So don't forget that part, because we want to have a nice clean edge that we can use to pick up stitches later. So we're going to slip the first stitch as if to purl, and then we're going to bring that yarn back to the back again between the needles and bring it to the back. And when we get to the last stitch, we're going to knit it through the back loop. So we slip the first stitch as if to purl, and then we knit the very last stitch through the back loop. And this is actually going to be considered the right side of the work. So we're also going to start decreasing on this row, and we're only going to be decreasing on the right side of the work. And we're going to be doing a double decrease in the middle of the work. So we're going to knit 14, and then we're going to do a double decrease. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So next we're going to actually slip the next 2 stitches as if to knit, but we're going to slip them together. So we're going to go through both stitches, and we're just going to slip them to the right hand needle. It may look a little twisted, but that's fine. We're going to knit the next stitch, and then we're going to slip those 2 stitches that we just slipped, both of them together. We're going to pass them over the knit stitch. You can see there they are. Both stitches are passed over the knit stitch. That just created a double decrease in the center. So now you should still have 14 stitches remaining. So what we're going to do is knit the rest of those across, but we're going to knit the last one through the back loop. So we've come to the last stitch, and we're going to knit it through the back loop. So by slipping the first stitch purlwise and by knitting the last stitch through the back loop, it is going to create a nice smooth V on the edges. Next, we're going to turn the work. This is going to be the back side, and all you do is knit across, but you keep doing the slipping on the edges. So whether it's the right side or the wrong side, we're still going to slip the first stitch purlwise. We're going to do this on every row. Take the yarn back to the back. On the wrong side, we knit all the way across without any decreases. And then we're going to knit the last stitch through the back loop once again. So we've come to the last stitch. We're going to knit it through the back loop. Turn the work. Once again, we're going to be on the right side, which is where we do our decreases in the center. And since we knit 14 stitches previously. This time we're going to knit 13 stitches to the center and then do our double decrease. And it's going to be like that, so on and so on until you get to the end. So we take our yarn to the front, slip the first stitch purlwise, bring it to the back, and knit to the center. So that stitch counts as the first one. We're going to do 13. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do this row with you guys, and then I'm going to sign off and complete the square because it's the same concept until you get to the top. And I'll come back and show you guys how to finish the top of the square. So let's see how many we've got here. There's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Excuse me. We're at the center, so we're going to slip 2 together knitwise, like you're going to knit. Slip them both off, knit the next stitch, and then pass those 2 slipped stitches together over the stitch that you just knit. And then you should have 13 stitches remaining. Let's double check. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're going to knit across to the last one and knit it through the back loop. We're at the last stitch. We knit it through the back loop. So now we've done 2 double decreases in the center. We turn. Now we're on the wrong side again. We're actually going to continue. We knit without any decreases on the wrong side, but we continue to slip the first stitch purlwise, bring it between the needles to the back, knit all the way across, and knit the last stitch through the back loop. Last stitch once again, knit through the back loop. And that was the wrong side, so we turn, and you can begin to see how it's taking shape and it's creating this V in the center. Now, since the last time we knit 13 and did a double decrease, this time we're going to knit 12 and then do our double decrease. Always remember, slip the first stitch purlwise, bring the yarn to the back, knit across 12. Next time on the right side row it'll be 11. The next time on the right side it'll be 10, and so on, but always knitting on the back side without decreasing. In the center we're going to do slip 2 together knitwise, knit 1, slip those 2 over the one you knit, continue knitting across, and knit the last one through the back loop. So go ahead and continue in that manner, and I will be back when we get to only 3 stitches remaining at the top. All right, so I have gotten the square to this point where we have 5 stitches remaining. So I thought I would just go ahead and finish this with you guys to show you how to finish off the first square. We're gonna, once again, slip that first stitch purlwise and then bring the yarn to the back, and then we're already at the center. So we're gonna slip these next 2 stitches knitwise, knit the next stitch, slip the, or pass the 2 slipped stitches over the knit stitch, knit the last stitch through the back loop. Okay, we're down to 3 stitches, but we're still going to go ahead and turn, and we're going to knit across that last row. As you guys can see, I'm actually running out of daylight too. It is 7:07. I took a little bit of a break, went outside and played with my dog, and called my brother back. Okay, we're going to knit the, or slip the first one purlwise, knit the next one, knit the last one through the back loop, and then we still have those 3 stitches. And what I'm going to do here is I go ahead and slip the first one purlwise, and then I actually knit 2 together, and then I slip that first stitch over the knit 2 together. And then what I do is I pull up a loop. I'm going to go ahead and cut the yarn, and I'm actually going to just keep pulling on that loop. It's not going to unravel. You just pull that loop up and tighten it, kind of work it back into shape, and we have our first mitered square. Oops, that beginning was a little bit long, but here is our first mitered square. What we need to do now is knit a second one exactly like that. So since I'm running out of daylight and I still need to knit the second square, I am going to end this video here, and I'm going to call this part 1, and we're going to do part 2 tomorrow, guys. So I will, I'll get this video uploaded tonight, and then once I get part 2 done tomorrow, I'm going to actually link it up here so that in the future, when people find this video, they can watch part 1, and then they can click on part 2 over here and just go to the continuation of this video. What we'll be doing is we're going to be knitting a second one, and then we're going to have them side by side, and we're going to be picking up stitches tomorrow along this side and along this side of the second square. And then we'll be knitting the third square, and they'll be all connected. So I will see you guys again in the next video. In the meantime, go ahead and get your first and second squares done, and I'll be back to show you how we connect them with the third square. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will be back with more tutorials and my knitting podcast very soon. Happy knitting, guys. Bye.